You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't going to be that fun. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. What a week. It started off at the end of, we're in the middle of it now, and nothing has happened in the biggest news story that you would ever think that the liberals ever come across, and that is the possible indictment of Donald Trump by the New York grand jury over the hush money paid to Stormy Daniels and the relationship she said occurred. He said never happened, but yet still paid out. Money was paid to her. This has been referred to as the Frankenstein lawsuit or indictment. That it's been, the Department of Justice on the federal level, where the Federal Election Commission rules and discussion of election, benefits and using campaign funds for, to gain a benefit in an election would all be settled. It chose to pass on this, not once but twice. The Alvin Bragg's own office chose not to deal with this, dealing with mainly because of who they were having to deal with, the witness quality, and also the simple fact that giving, and even NBC News pointed this out a while back, said giving money to someone to keep them from talking is not illegal. What they're trying to do is construct this wild case that it was an illegal campaign contribution given through a third party. Folks, if I'm losing you already, think about how this case is going to play out. And it comes kind of down, trying to get a jury. If this actually went to its conclusion, which, you don't see Donald Trump agreeing to a plea bargain here, it goes to its final conclusion, finding a jury, finding and taking these facts, moving them forward. Look, we're in the middle of this, but what really shows me is the political, basically, malfeasance of Alvin Bragg, the district attorney funded by George Soros, one who has said that he doesn't want to prosecute felonies, dropping them to misdemeanors. We see him not even prosecuting misdemeanors in some cases. And you see New York in a complete free fall when it comes to crime with the subways and with people on the streets. This is what people don't get. And I just firmly add, look, law enforcement is tough. It means enforcing the law fairly. This just does not even smack of coming into fairness. When you look at the other things that the Manhattan DA could be looking into in the really around his own city, and yet he's wasting this much time and money, and then having leaked indictment possibilities, leaked meetings with the law enforcement about how they're going to take in Donald Trump and fingerprint him. Are they going to handcuff him or not handcuff him? Folks, I know it's middle of the week. Next week's probably going to be more of the same, but don't buy the hype here. This is an issue that is just, one, it's going to play out. If anybody believes that Donald Trump is going to have, trouble with this, look, Donald Trump's been in a lot of lawsuits. He's been in a lot of legal issues before. Yes, it's the first time, and it's unprecedented that a former president be charged criminally. We'll see how it all goes. But for right now, look, I think the bigger issues you got going on is while this is all happening and the media is foaming at the mouth at this, and as I said on an interview the other day, that the liberals are acting like, a 2-year-old hyped up on sugar, thinking Donald Trump is going to be, this is the final fall, and then these other cases in other states. Take a deep breath. This is why people don't like what they're seeing in the country right now. This is why people don't like what's going on in our country. Why? Because they don't view it as fair. They view it as political motivation, and that is a problem. Today on the podcast, though, we're going to talk about really that the Democrats, they don't care about you. Don't let them buy this argument that they care about you. I'm going to point out two things. One Democrat who actually said the inside part out loud. You're going to want to see this. So just in a few minutes, we'll be here on the Doug Collins Podcast. Join you in a minute. Hey, everybody, you know about Legacy Precious Metals. Legacy Precious Metals, you hear from them. We talk once a month. We talk about Legacy Precious Metals, talking about precious metals being part of your portfolio, how they're your navigator. Well, now they're not only navigating in a new way, they're actually giving you a new way to buy gold and silver. In fact, Legacy Precious Metals has developed a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in real gold and silver online. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped to your door. I'm more of a ship to my door kind of person. I enjoy having them with me, but they can do it either way, and you can now do it online. It gives you real access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time, anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar. This puts you in complete control of your money. This platform is free to sign up for. Just visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and is against a volatile stock market. A true diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but a different asset class. This platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Remember, do as I have done. Go to legacypminvestments.com and get started today. And now you've got a new tool to help you along in your investments. Hey folks, MyPillow is excited to bring to you their biggest bedding sale ever. For a limited time, you're going to get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. $99.99. Get a mattress pillow topper. Look, they come in all sizes. They got all kinds of stuff, blankets. They've got duvets. They got quilts. They got comforters. They got body pillows. They got bolster pillows. They got all that big discounts. And also, they're extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1, 2023, making them the perfect gift for your friends, your family, and for everyone you know. Folks, and just from a personal note here, I have the Giza Dream Sheets. They're on my bed right now. I slept on them last night. Some of the best sheets that we and Lisa and I have ever owned. They are worth, at this price, they're a steal. My wife and I have bought bed sheets, linens at much higher cost. It's supposedly much higher quality. These from MyPillow are at the highest of quality, and at a price like this, you can't beat it. So go now to MyPillow.com, use promo code Collins, COLLINS, or call 1-800-986-3994, and you'll get huge discounts on all the MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all your shopping done while qualities last. And remember, put in that promo code Collins for these discounts. All right, we're back. I started off the week in our podcast a couple of days ago, and I talked about really where I see this election cycle going, where I see the issues of, politicians, campaigns telling you what you want to hear. Don't fall for the easy answers. But sometimes you really get the picture of what's going on in a different sense. You get the picture for one side or the other lowers the curtain down, so to speak, on their real beliefs. And you get a peek behind the curtain, if you would, on what is going on. I made a statement. I was up with some great folks in North Carolina the other day, and I made a statement, and I said this. I said, this is the best time, I believe, to be a conservative. It's the best time right now on a public discourse to be a conservative. Why? Because you don't have to make up what the left is doing. And for years, and in this podcast, you've heard me say it, for years, Democrats would hide that they didn't want to take your guns. Now they're just out in the open with it. They want to take your guns. They don't believe in the Second Amendment rights. They try to couch it in all kinds of different terms. But at the end of the day, they don't like guns, and they don't like people who have guns. Let's just be frank about this. So as we look at this, the issue that is coming up in taking Democrats at their word is we literally now can take them at their word. So when you Republicans say, look, your Second Amendment rights are in jeopardy, they can actually show, yes, they're in jeopardy. When people want to talk about raising taxes, Joe Biden has easily said, I want to raise taxes. Democrats have joined along. When Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders and all want to control healthcare, control banking, make it more departmentalized in the government instead of the free market, that's where you see they're no longer hiding what they're talking about. They believe that big government is the answer. They believe that what they're doing is making sure that government has the solution for y'all. The reason I say this is the best time for conservatives, if we will take it, here's the key, if we will take it, is that you can make these arguments to where people can understand them. It's no longer a cryptic kind of audience. Like I mentioned in the introduction about this this indictment coming down in New York about the hush money and Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen and just the roundabout way they're going about this. That's not cases in from a legal perspective, you like to have, especially if you're a prosecutor, A, B, C, crime, evidence, trial. or plea if they get that plea. But they like to have it. And when you have to go to a jury and you have to say, okay, here's what we believe happened. Here's how we think it went down. Here's what happened. We want you to come to our conclusion that this is wrong and bad and punish it. That's a hard case to make. And again, that's up for the DA and Bragg in his office. And, we'll see how it goes. Donald Trump is not going to lay down lightly for this, and he will fight it. And so it's going to be interesting to see that if a novel legal theory in which the feds passed on numerous times, his own office passed on, will they actually make it? When you're having to explain, there's an old idiom in politics that says, if you're explaining, you're losing. Okay? I know that sounds contradictory because so many times we say, well, just explain it to me. If you explain to what's going on, people will understand it. They'll come to you. No, if you're having to explain what you believe and where people don't understand it, you got a problem. So today, I wanted to point out two things that I believe really are the height of what we're seeing in the Democrats as we come up. Now, Monday, I talked about messaging and making sure that we're paying attention and not letting parties on either side tell you things they can't do. Today, we're going to point out directly things that they can do and that tell you what they're about. Let's start off first with Biden has his first veto. Now, his first veto came on a legislation that Congress passed that would strike down a rule at the Department of Labor on the new ESG standards. And this is, when you understand what's going on here, it takes in, the impacts of, what an investment broker can actually impart it. They consider the effects of climate change, other ESG factors based on facts and circumstances. And what they're looking at here and what this new rule that came out from the Department of Labor is that I'm trying, and I want to make this very clear for you so that you understand, is that the Department of Labor rule stated that instead of doing what most of us would feel like the brokers do with our money, in other words, if we gave $100,000 to our investment fund, mutual fund, whatever it may be, our fiduciary who's investing our money, that they're going to look at what gets the best return, the best rate, minimal risk to get your money back in a not only keep the money you put in, but gain money on top. That has been the standard forever. You look at investments based on the financial considerations that are given. What is happening now is that they are now advancing that through this rule to say that they're no longer disallowed from looking at other things such as ESG, environmental, social, and governance. In other words, are they paying their CEO more than they should be paying? Are they environmentally conscious? Are they green friendly? Are they implementing diversity programs in their businesses? Are they doing things, again, to promote a social agenda? Now, there could be funds out there in which you could invest in that says, look, we are looking for green companies. We're looking for energy companies. We're looking for this kind of thing. Those are things where you can invest in. You can do your own research. You can ask, you can do, individual stocks. You can do these kind of plans in which you could get your social outcome. And in other words, if you're wanting to be a social investor, a social conscious investor, using your money not only to hopefully gain money, but also to impact the world as you see it, then there are ways you can do that. What they're saying here now is whether you want that or not, for the average investor out here, you're going to be sending money to a firm in which now they're going to be pressured many times by the stockholders, many times by their colleagues and peers. Are we promoting in our firm the ESG agenda? Whether or not it necessarily makes good financial sense. And even if the companies are found well under the ESG rules, is it a company that is going to make a good return on investment? Is it a company that is financially sound? Those are all still playing into this, but now you're having a political agenda applied to the business of making money in the investment field. This is what Republicans were simply saying. And when they passed this through the House, and by the way, bipartisan support, The Congress said, go back to the basics. Stick to the fiduciary, having the best interest of the client at heart, having the best interest of the monies from a risk financial standpoint of the companies investing in, looking out over the financial landscape and seeing these companies, and these companies say, look, this one is on the rise. This one's not. This one has some issues from a structural financial impact, and I'm going to put the money where it needs to go. Now, with this rule, you're going to have firms who have an agenda or a corporate agenda to say, we're going to like-minded companies, if you would, and we're going to put people's money here, whereas I could probably put it over here and get 10% back. I'm going to put it over here. It may get 7%, but we're supporting the ESG agenda. Okay. Why are we inputting the political biases of Washington into the financial system? We're not talking about lowering fiduciary discussion here. We're not saying that people are going to be less held accountable for what they're doing. But what we are saying is we're moving away from the basics. We've seen this in so many things in our government. We move away from what we know to make groups feel better. Democrats are using this in a very big way. They're claiming that, the Republicans were wanting to put your money at risk, which is the lie. If anything, it's the opposite, because now you're putting in non-financial factors into the decisions made by the investment firms when it comes to investing your money, whether you like it or not. Now, what really also bothered me, and one of the reasons I had said earlier, if you're really looking to find out, what the Biden administration and the Democratic Party really think about you, all you have to do is look at what the president said yesterday as he vetoed this bill. And he basically said, I just vetoed, this is cut out on this Twitter post, this bill would risk your retirement savings by making it illegal to consider risk factors MAGA House Republicans don't like. Let's just break that down for a second. Risk factors that MAGA, he's using that as almost a curse word. He's trying to build a enmity between voters and people into this, quote, MAGA, which they have associated with fringe, right-wing, non-stable people who support Donald Trump and a vision of America that they don't like. Okay, so they're name-calling. This is a presidential tweet on a bill in which he's saying MAGA House Republicans don't like. Let's see, maybe the House Republicans and Democrats who voted for it, and in the Senate where Democrats voted for it as well, are saying, no, we want investment houses to be investment houses. We don't want them to be having to take money and then be pressured into putting money in areas that may be more risky, but also it's just pushing an agenda that people who are investing in money simply want a return on investment. This is the problem here. And it goes back to the deeper issue, and I love what he actually then goes on and says. It shows you, if you don't think this is political, listen to this last sentence. Your plan manager should be able to protect your hard-earned savings, whether Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene likes it or not. Joe Biden, I want investment folks to be able to make investments that have the best interest of the people giving them the money at heart, not what Joe Biden thinks is socially right for the market. But yet what you're calling out now is you're telling me this isn't about fiduciary. This is not about saving people's financial and retirement savings. It's not about, making sure that there's better investments out there and you're promoting. This is about promoting a social agenda, an environmental, social, and governance agenda on these companies in which you've never seen this before, which also opens up, the possibility of lawsuits. It opens up the possibility of all kinds of things when these kind of laws put in place and these kind of rules are put in place. And yet Joe Biden doesn't care. All he wants to do is make political points and try to blame Republicans for this. And when Democrats voted for it as well, it's a bipartisan bill. So when you see I just bring this out because the overlying concern here is that Joe Biden thinks that government enforcing upon private equity markets and private investment markets their vision of how they should react to companies they don't like is the best way to go. People inherently are distrustful of the government, especially conservatives, especially independents, and only the most liberal of liberals believe that government is the best solution for everything. But yet the Democrats are using, and the President Biden is using his veto pen to say, look, I don't care what all of you think about government. I believe government is the best way and that we need to give guidance and we need to expand the guidance for these investment houses so that they will look after the agenda that we think is best. This is why you go out as conservatives and you attack what is being done, not just simply that you don't like Joe Biden, you don't like Chuck Schumer, you don't like whoever in the Democratic Party is your go-to I don't like person. It's really going back to say, I want to go out and tell you, look, they're opening up your money to do things that you probably don't want to do. Instead of putting the risk and the monetary return first, the pressure is going to be to use your money to further causes that you may or may not agree with, whether it makes financial sense necessarily or not. If they can show a reason why they did it, then they're thinking that they're going to be covered. But this goes back again to a governance that says we know better. This is the same Biden administration that within the first 48 hours issues executive orders basically killing the oil industry and gas industry in this country. And now getting back halfway toward another election is now deciding to open up a range up in Alaska so that there can be more oil drilled. Again, what they do in public and what they do in private is what they don't want you to know. They realize that politically this is not the best issue for them, especially when gas prices went up like they did in the first 2 years of this administration. And it's still up in many cases compared to where it was when Joe Biden took office. But what they want to do is please their left base by saying we're going to kill the oil and gas industry, by the way, of which they have no idea how they're replenishing it. And still to this day, if it hadn't, the oil market across the world had not stabilized, even given the fact of the Russia-Ukraine war, we're still at a position in which the energy independence of America has been lost to an energy dependent upon countries such as Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and others in OPEC. And again, this is government saying, we know better than you. We're going to make these decisions for you. If you have any doubt on how to talk about this coming up in the next section, just simply frame it in that. Do you want the government handling all your decisions? Do you want the government telling you how it's best to spend your money, go to work, and go to school? Then Democrats are for you. If you want a more free-based economy where you have the opportunity to invest your money, you have the opportunity to start businesses, you have the opportunity to live in freedom without government being over your shoulder, then the Republican Party message, the conservative message is right one. And if you don't think this is getting any worse, just look in the past 2 weeks at the SVB Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, which made very poor long-term choices in investing in treasuries, 10-year treasuries, at a ridiculously low interest rate, and didn't make changes when they started seeing the interest rates go up, when they could have actually got better return on their money. But they were so focused on being the startup tech and the diversity bank and taking in all of these other issues, just like we just discussed, that they didn't even do their own governance. And by the way, the SEC and others who should have been looking at this, and the banking stuff, undoubtedly nobody cared. And so this is why you see what you're seeing. And if anybody continues to believe that the government is the best people for this, it's hard for me to help you. Because time after time after time in these investments, the folks at the very end, the folks that the Democrats actually think are the ones that they help, are the ones that actually end up paying for it. You're going to pay for it through more bank fees. You're going to pay for it with more bank regulations because the FDIC is using to back these other investments in these banks that fail. Why? Not because you did anything wrong, but because they did. And the government didn't catch it. Now the government's trying to make it right, claiming that if they don't make it right here, that the whole banking institution will fall apart. So number one, the first thing that we look at here is that the Biden administration, through his first veto, shows you where their priorities are. Their priorities are with the liberal activist groups who want to see Wall Street used for social change, not what Wall Street is there for, and that is to invest in companies to see a return on your profit and to see a return on your money and to make a healthy retirement or a healthy living for you and your family. They've decided not what we want to do. So the second one comes in. If they take a look at your money and they believe government is looking at your money, the second thing that they do, and this one is stunning. In fact, we're going to input this video. I want you to listen to this quote from Georgia Representative Lydia Glaze down here, Democrat. As it was said, she's now saying the quiet part out loud.
I see access as a problem. I see parents being able to direct their child's education, and they are already in the lower 25 percentile, meaning a lot of those parents did not finish high school and could not finish their own education. I am extremely concerned that we would put money in their hands in that entire piece of life in the hands of parents who are not qualified to make those decisions, and they don't have the money to put in the difference that their child would need to attend a private school if there were one in there already in their region.
Wow. I mean, did you hear that, folks? She said a lot of these parents didn't finish high school, and I'm extremely concerned that we would put money in their hands and that entire piece of their life in the hands of parents who are not qualified to make those decisions. What they're doing is they're debating a bill on school choice, and she just decides to say the quiet part out loud. I don't think poor people can make these kind of decisions. How many times have we been lectured to by the Democratic Party over the issue of, we're the ones who care for the working poor. We're the ones who care about it. No, at the end of the day, they only care about their government control. They care about the unions, and they care about the groups out there that are influencing them to keep people in school districts where their schools are failing or not being adequately administered to teach their kids. And now you have this representative basically out loud saying, I don't trust poor people. I don't trust the uneducated. It's up to the government to make all these decisions. It's up to us that and she goes on and she talks about, they're already in the lower 25% percentile, meaning a lot of them didn't finish high school. And again, and they don't have the money to put in the difference that their child would need to attend a private school. Now they're trying to say, look, we're not even going to give them the possibility of having money that they can then turn around and use to get their kids into a different kind of school. Needless to say, they're also overlooking the fact that if you gave parents money that they could invest in their child's education, that there would be schools, good schools, that would come about, that would be able to make schools that would afford to send their kids to, that would get a good education. They wouldn't be trapped by their zip code. This is a discussion that I have yet to understand why Republicans don't take on more. I will tell you this, that these same ladies, and which is, I'm going to get to in just a second. This is a bad one. But the same thing that she says, that these people are too poor, too undereducated to know how to spend this money to help their kids. They want you trapped because if you don't have any options, if you don't have any way out, then you feel government is your only solution. Government is the only way out. And that's where they want to keep you. Democrats want to keep you in need of the government. Now, I've got you one that is pretty funny here. Same representative. She admits that her own children attended private schools, but she said parents should pay the tuition for themselves and expressed opposition to vouchers that will make private schools accessible to more lower-income Georgians. In other words, I had the money and I can do it. You're too not smart, hadn't earned enough money. You can't do that. So mine got away with it, but I'm not going to have it for you. Folks, are we ever going to let the Democrats continue to not stop letting the Democrats get away with this? I mean, yeah, she says, I'm all for private schools. All my children graduated from private schools, but I'm not for them. When we take public school dollars and use them for private schools, we paid for it and we're able to do it. No, the problem is you've got people who can't break free from a public school system in which is spending, and especially like in the city of Atlanta, more than double in many instances what others in the state are paying per student and getting worse outcomes. This is the part that is just amazing to me. She believes with all her heart, it seems like, that the public school and the educrat monopoly is all that is out there. Now, she acknowledges public schools, private schools are there, and she sent her own children to private school, but not you. It may be $8,000 to get into private school, but if I could take the $6,000 that my school system is spending, then I only need $3,000 for that semester. I could possibly go out and take a second job and spend that if I wanted to, if I thought my children could get a better education. I am tired of liberals owning these issues by saying that government knows best when it is exactly the community and the parents and others who get to make the decisions for those children and what is best for their families. If you don't believe it, if you're not looking ahead and you're not seeing this, folks, then you're really missing the point. I started this whole conversation off, at the first of this week by simply saying, folks, if you look at what people are saying, test it. If they're saying that they can do away with X and it'll solve all your problems, test it. Whether it's a Republican or Democrat, don't let people or a news show or a news channel or anywhere else, even this podcast, I will challenge you, take what I say and go check it out. If we disagree, we disagree. If we agree, fine. If there's other ways out there, let me hear it. That's why you can go to the DougCollinsPodcast.com, hit on the email button, and you will be able to come to it. But what we're seeing here now is they don't want you to do that. So conservatives, now is the best time to rise up. Now is the best time to come out with arguments and talk about, kids and many times overwhelmingly minority and disadvantaged children who could maybe have an opportunity at a better life. But you got representatives in the state of Georgia like Representative Glaze who says, no, your family's too poor. Your family doesn't educate it enough. They don't know how to find a good school and put the money in it. They don't know how to take what the state may give them and then maybe add a little bit to it to get their son or their daughter to that school where they can grow, and who knows what they could become if we just give them the chance. Look, my wife taught public school for over 30 years. I believe public schools still can work if the teachers and the students and the parents and the faculty all come together to say we're going to get the best outcomes. The problem in most of our public schools right now is that they're so burdened with bureaucratic red tape on stupid stuff that they've had to teach that came out of Washington or came out of some legislature that thought they knew all about education. And instead of letting the teachers teach the basics of math, science, reading, and get on with this education. But now we've piled everything else onto it where these poor public school teachers, many times who want to do good, who went into teaching because they love kids, and they do it every day at sacrificial levels to their own families, their own health, and their own financial well-being. But when you've got administrators who keep them locked down, when you got principals who are not getting rid of bad teachers and also encouraging good teachers, when you got curriculums that are more about political agenda than they are about teaching students, when you got teachers who go in who believe that it is their goal to shape and mold a new generation of social warriors, then that is a problem. And if you don't have them and provide them with a way to get out, then they will be trapped. Arkansas, Governor Sanders has done a great job out there, just signed an education bill that I think over the years is going to provide a lot of hope for those who want school choice and want to be able to send their kids to different school where the money will follow the child. I'm hopeful that we'll see more and more of this as we go forward. But folks, if you ever had a reason to look at why I believe it is the best time to be a conservative, all you got to do is to look at these two factors. You got Joe Biden in the government on his first veto saying, look, we're going to help the institutions push social agenda at the many times possibly at the lower rates or lower expense of your money. Because it should have been about the money and the risk and the investments in companies instead of other things. Now it's going to be about other things and the pressures that could come to these brokerage houses to do just that. And then you got the representative from Georgia just saying the quiet part out loud. You're too poor, you're too dumb to know what to do with the money if the state gave it to you. That's the Democratic Party summed up pretty much in one sentence. That's it, folks. I'll see you next time on the Doug Collins Podcast.